Okay, so the most important component to make sure that your child is safe while using a car seat is to make sure that it's installed correctly. Unfortunately, 90% of car seats are used or installed incorrectly, which means you're not utilizing the safety features of that car seat. Now, when purchasing your car seat, the most important thing to consider is making sure that you know how to install it correctly every time. Now, if you need help figuring out which car seat is appropriate for your child, check out our other video, the general car seat guide. Okay, so let's get into installation. There are two ways of installing your car seat. You can do that with latch or with the seat belt. Rarely can you do it with both. I'm going to start with latch. That stands for lower anchors and tethers for children. Now, every car seat manufacturer is required to put latch or equip your car with lower anchors from 2002 and newer. So if your car was built after 2002, you do have those lower anchors. And those you will find down here, typically in the crease of your seat. Now they may be covered up with some fabric. You may have to expose them if you don't see them. And there are indicators on the seat to show where those are. And if you can't find it, you can check out your manual for your car. Now there are two different types of latch. So you may have, depending on your car seat, you will typically have one or the other. Sometimes, like with the Foomph, you have both. Now the first is what's called rigid latch. And so this is connected to the frame. They are the correct width apart so that they are going to, when you line it up, they're going to easily just click into place just like that. So it makes it a little bit easier, and it is 50% safer with rigid latch. However, latch with webbing is very safe as well. And that is going to look like something like this. Now it has your webbing and then it has your latch connector, and you're going to click it in the same way. You're just going to do those separately and then tighten. Now some things to know about latch installation. Now it does have a weight limit. So typically the weight limit of latch system is about 65 pounds. It does differ depending on the car manufacturer, and it does include the weight of the seat. So you will have to total the weight of your child and the weight of your seat. Once the latch is maxed out at about 65 pounds, then you will have to install the car seat with the seat belt. Now another thing to consider is not every seat in your car is equipped with latch. Now the requirement is just 2 positions, and typically those are going to be the outbound seats or the seats that are closest to the doors. So typically the center position is not equipped with latch, and you would have to install your car seat with the seat belt instead of latch. With the seat belt, the biggest misuse that we see is that the seat is not being locked into position. So let me show you what that means. So first you're going to feed your seat belt through the correct belt path. Now on convertible car seats you have 2 belt paths, one for rear facing, on this one it's here, and then one for forward facing back here. So you want to make sure you're going through the correct belt path. So once you click that into place, even if you tighten that as much as you can and you do not lock it into place, see how much movement there is, and even forward-facing movement. That's a lot when you're have a little child in there. So you want to make sure that you're locking it into place. Now, a lot of seat belts, a lot of car seats are equipped with what's called a lock-off, and that's going to hold that seat belt into position and hold that car seat solid into the vehicle seat. Now, this one does have a lock-off. It's right here. You'll feed it through that clamp, push it down, and then lock it into place. And that's going to keep it solid. Now, if your car seat doesn't have a lock off, you have the option of locking it in your car. And what that looks like is your car seat inside is equipped with what's called a retractor. And that's what's holding or casing that webbing and allowing it to go in and out. Now to engage that lock, you're going to pull out all your webbing slowly, and then you're going to feed it back in. Once you do that, it engages the locking mechanism, and so it'll kind of like a retractor, it's going to pull all that webbing back in, and then it's going to lock it into place. So you want to pull all the webbing out, feed it into the seat so that it's locked into place. And that's what's going to keep your seat solid in the vehicle seat. So you always want to make sure that it's locked, whether you're using the lock off or the seat belt. Okay, so now with infant seats, you do have both options of installation with the base only. So you can install the base with latch and seat belt, but with the infant seat itself, you only have the option of using the seat belt. So that one as well, you do need to make sure that it's locked into position using the retractor in your car. Now, one misuse that we often see is parents installing their car seat with both latch and seat belt. Now, something to know is this is rarely approved. On this particular seat, it is approved because it has the rigid latch, so you can do both, but most you cannot. So reference your manual to see if it's approved for your seat or not. Now, one thing people always ask is which one's safer? Is it safer to go do latch or is it safer to do seatbelt? And really neither one is safer than the other. You really need to go with the one that you are more comfortable with getting a tighter installation. So as long as you're using it appropriately within the weight limit, either one is just as safe as long as you're doing it correctly. Now you do have a lot of options on which position in the car to install your seat. Now it is true that the safest position in the car is in the center position, just behind, in the first row behind the driver. Now that's going to be the furthest from any impact, any side impact. So side, either front or back, it's just the furthest from any collision. So you want to install it in the center whenever possible. Now remember, you can't do it with latch in the center position typically, sometimes you can. So you do need to be comfortable with seatbelt installation. Also, some other reasons that you may not put it in the center position, you could just be too short. If you can't reach the seat to put your child in or to put the carrier in, then it may not be an ideal position for you. Also, some other factors is how many kids are you installing in your car. So sometimes you are going to need to use those outbound seats. And if you're not comfortable installing with the seat belt, then use latch on the side. It's much more important to make sure that it's installed correctly than to have the ideal position. So you really just have to go with the decision that best fits your family. Now, another thing to consider is if you're installing forward facing is to always attach your rear tether. This is a step that's often overlooked. So your rear tether is connected to the back of the seat, and you're going to attach that to the back of the vehicle seat. Now typically that rear tether is going to be on the back of the seat, but sometimes it's on the floor behind the seat or even on the ceiling behind the seat. So if you have trouble finding that position, then reference your car manual and it'll show you exactly where those rear tethers are. Now that one is super important. That's what's going to reduce the amount of movement that your child is moving front to back in the event of a car accident, protecting their head and spine. So please make sure that you're attaching your rear tether. Now, if you have specific questions on installation, we have a lot of how-tos on specific brands, and so please reference those for correct installation instructions. If you still have specific questions, then please feel free to email us at hello@babycubby.com or even leave a comment below, and we'd love to answer those questions for you. So harnessing your child in. Now, this may sound really simple and kind of silly, but you have multiple buckles for a reason. Use them all. Now, I often see parents that will just do the chest clip or they'll just do the crotch buckle, and every time you take your child anywhere in their car seat, you're at risk for getting in an accident. And if you're not using all buckles, then you're not protecting your child. So please use them all correctly. Okay, so harness height. Now, what that means is how high your harness is compared to your child's shoulders. And I'm going to show you here with our little faux baby, Charlie. Okay, so for rear facing, so say we're traveling this way, so your baby is rear facing, you want that harness to go right in at their shoulder level or within an inch below. So you're going to have these notches throughout the seat that you will raise your harness. So you want to keep that right at that level or within an inch below. The reason for that is in the event of a car accident, everything in the car is going to continue to travel forward, including your baby. So if they're traveling up, they're going to ride up the seat, or they're going to try to ride up the seat. If you did it properly, they're not going to ride up the seat. So they're going to try to ride up that seat. If those harnesses are snug on their shoulders, they're not going to go anywhere. Now, if they were up higher and I was rear facing, then it gives their body opportunity to move or ride up that seat even more. And the point of the harness is to keep them from moving as little as possible in the event of a car accident. Now, it's the opposite for forward facing. Okay, now this baby, I do have to put this disclaimer in there, is too small to be riding forward facing, but I'm going to put him in this seat to show you where you want that harness. Okay, so now as you can see, for forward facing, you do want it to go as close to right at shoulder level or shoulder height, or within an inch above, so it's going to be the opposite. And the same reason, if you are traveling forward, again, everything's going to continue to move forward. Now, if it's up above, it's keeping them tight in their seat and they can't get out much. Now, if it were below, it would give that much slack that they would be able to move forward in the event of a car accident. Now, you do also want to make sure that your headrest is at the correct level. So with this one, we would want to bring it down just a little bit, but you don't want their head to be within an inch of the top of the seat. So you do want to lower that down so it is protecting their head, but not too high on the headrest. Okay, once you have the correct shoulder height and your child is installed, you will then tighten your seat belt or tighten the harness. Now you do want it to be pretty snug, but there is such a thing as too tight. So you don't want your child to obviously stop breathing. So to check if it is tight enough, you can do one of two tests. There's the 2-finger test. So you want to take your 2 fingers at their collarbone and it should feel snug. It's a little hard to test with Charlie because he's not very solid. But then the other test you can do is the vertical pinch test. And so you're going to vertically try to pinch the webbing and you shouldn't be able to get webbing in between your fingers. Now then you will lift up the chest clip or raise the chest clip. You want that at tickle zone, armpit to armpit. So you'll move that right into place. Now you don't want it too high, you don't want it too low, so that it's going to protect your child. Now one thing that we've seen a lot with infant seats is these shoulder pads here sometimes get in the way of the correct harness or chest clip height. So if say your shoulder pads are really long and they come down to here, and you move up your chest clip as high as you can and it's still right at their tummy, then you need to take off those shoulder pads so that you can get the chest clip in the appropriate position. Now that is much more important than the shoulder pads. Those are a comfort accessory, so they don't need to be used with the car seat, but you do need to make sure that the chest clip is at the right level. Now each car seat is going to have an appropriate level for your child. Now infant seats, typically that will be indicated on the base, like with a bubble level or some kind of gauge to say if it's at the correct level. If you're installing an infant car seat without the base, you have this line that is shown on the side of the seat, and you need to have that parallel to the ground. If you're doing convertibles or boosters, it'll be indicated on the side at which recline positions are appropriate for your child and the position that they are sitting in, whether it's rear facing or forward facing. So you do need to reference those to make sure that you're at the right or correct recline for your child. Now another misconception that we often see is the use of third-party accessories with your car seat. Now typically no third-party accessories are approved to use with your seat. This can include like a toy bar. You put toys here to entertain your child, a car seat canopy, or even the use of a mirror when rear facing so that you can keep seeing your child. Now the reason for this is they could pose a danger in the event of a car accident. And because they haven't been crash tested with the seat, it's not approved to use them. Now, is it actually dangerous? Possibly not. But the risk that you run by using those is in the event of a car accident, your insurance company could reject your claim because you were not using the seat properly. So do use those with some caution. If you really want to use a third-party accessory, you can contact the manufacturer of your car seat to see if it's something that would be approved. Now, if you really want to use that mirror, and I don't blame you because I'd want to see my child while rear facing, you can actually move it to the position next to your child and then just angle it so that you can still see their smiling face. Now, another thing to consider is every car seat has an expiration date. And a lot of people choose to ignore these, but it's very dangerous. The reason it has an expiration date is over time, the materials that your car seat is made out of are going to break down. Now, this is especially important to pay attention to if you live in a place with very different climates, if it gets really cold and really hot, because that is going to speed up the process of those materials breaking down. Now, if that happens and you do get into a car accident, then those materials are no longer substantial and they could actually shatter, causing more damage to your child. So please do not use an expired car seat because that is not giving your child the correct protection that they need in that seat. Now, the average expiration dates on car seats for infants is going to be about 6 years. On convertible car seats, it's about 8 to 10, and on boosters, it's typically 10 years, but this does differ depending on the manufacturer. Now, to find out how long your car seat is good until it expires, you want to check the website or the car seat manual. Now, your car seat will have a manufacturer sticker. Now, that will have a manufacturer date, and then you'll need to find how many years until it expires. So it does take a little bit of simple math. Now, one practice that we see for a frugal family is to buy a used car seat. Now, this is strongly discouraged, and the reason for that is you really don't know in what conditions that car seat was used. If it was in a car accident and it shouldn't be used again, you should not be using it. Now, I personally would feel comfortable using a car seat that was used by a family member and I know they did not get in a car accident and that it was used properly. So use a lot of caution when buying a used car seat. Now, another question we often get is, after an accident, can I still use my car seat? It seems just fine. So you need to ask yourself 4 questions. If in that accident your airbags were deployed, if the accident impact was on the same side as the car seat, so if the car seat is on the side and the accident was on that same side, if there is any physical damage to the car seat, or if anyone in the car had to leave in an ambulance. If you said yes to any of those 4 questions, do not use your car seat again, even if it looks like it's in perfect condition. Now, most insurance companies are probably going to want to replace your car seat anyway, so I would just take advantage of that benefit and just get a new car seat to be safe. Now, here in store at the Baby Cubby, we have multiple CPS techs on staff. Now, that's a child passenger safety technician, which means we can approve your installation and even educate you on how to install your car seat. So if you're local, please come in store and check us out and we can help you do that in person. Now, you can also purchase from us online at babycubby.com. We do extensive research on the car seats that we choose to carry, and we only carry products that are the best for you. They're easy to use, they get great safety ratings, and so you really can have peace of mind when purchasing through us. Now, if you found this video helpful, please give us a like. We do these videos to help you make the right buying decisions for your family. And you can even subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch our other fun and educational videos.